They thought your tears were the end of you. They watched as you broke, as you wept behind closed doors, as your spirit trembled beneath the weight of the battles no one else could see. But what they didn't know, what they never understood, is that your tears were not weakness. They were water for the soil God planted you in. They were the holy oil leaking from a soul that was being anointed in secret. You, chosen one, were never abandoned. You were being prepared. God is about to turn your tears into testimony. Let that truth sink in, not just into your mind, but into your bones, into your scars, into those hollow places that once held grief. You didn't suffer without purpose. You didn't survive the fire only to stay hidden in the ashes. There is resurrection coming. There is restoration with your name on it, and it won't be private. It will be public. You were marked from the beginning. That's why you never fit in. That's why people misunderstood your heart. You loved deeply, but they treated you like you were invisible. You gave freely, but they returned your kindness with betrayal. You brought light into rooms, only to be surrounded by shadows. And you kept asking, why me? Not because you doubted God's power, but because you couldn't understand why your life had to feel like a constant war. But listen to me now, war is only waged where there's something worth fighting for. You are valuable, you are powerful, and you are chosen. That means you were born with a spiritual assignment too heavy for ordinary shoulders. That means your life was never going to be easy, but it was always going to be divinely guided. Every time you cried yourself to sleep, heaven documented it. Every sigh, every silent breakdown, every lonely moment in a crowded world, it all counted. And now God is gathering those tears, not to remind you of your suffering, but to pour them back out as proof of your survival. You see, there are people who smiled in your face but prayed against your rise. There are people who laughed when they thought they had destroyed you. But what they failed to consider is that no one can curse what God has blessed. They thought they had won. They celebrated too early, but while they were mocking, heaven was moving. While they were plotting, God was positioning you. The very pit they dug for you has become the place of your elevation. It's not that you were weak. It's that you were being broken open like a seed. And what happens to a seed once it's buried? It grows. And what happens when it grows? It breaks through the dirt, stretches toward the light, and becomes something unrecognizable from what it used to be. That's where you are right now, on the edge of becoming unrecognizable to those who once pitied you. The season of mourning is shifting. The pain you endured in silence is about to become your platform. Your enemies are about to watch your testimony unfold in real time, and they will have no choice but to witness the hand of God on your life. Don't you dare minimize what you've been through. Don't water it down. You faced storms that were sent to drown you. You stood in places that would have crushed most people. You wrestled with demons, trauma, heartbreak, and disappointment, and still you stood. You didn't just survive, you endured. You held on to your faith when it made no sense to. You trusted God when He was silent, and now that faith is about to reward you publicly. You've walked through valleys where your only companion was God. You've learned what it means to be crushed and still keep going. You've walked away from people you loved because your spirit outgrew their chaos. You've sat in rooms and felt the atmosphere shift, not because you were doing anything, but because your presence carries something holy, something heavy, something that can't be imitated. That's why you've been fought so hard. That's why you've been isolated, because the enemy knew who you were even before you did. And so the attacks weren't random, they were strategic. They were aimed at your identity, at your worth, at your calling. But the devil messed up. He thought your tears would break you, but they've only deepened your roots. And now it's harvest time. God is not about to reward you in private. No, He's about to make a spectacle of His faithfulness. He's about to turn what broke you into the very thing that builds you. He's about to take the lies spoken over you and use them as stepping stones into your destiny. The same mouths that mocked you will speak of your miracle. The same people who walked away will wish they had stayed. But don't look back. That was the season of your crushing. This is the season of your crowning. You didn't cry for nothing. You didn't suffer in vain. Every tear was a prophecy, a declaration, a sacred whisper to heaven that you still believed. And now God is responding, not with pity, but with power. He's taking your pain and turning it into prophecy fulfilled. He's taking your loss and turning it into legacy. So rise, chosen one, dry your eyes. The worst is behind you and the best is being revealed. You're not just a survivor, you're a living testimony, a walking miracle, a divine disruption. You were built for this. Heaven is about to make an announcement through your life. And when it happens, everyone who ever doubted you will see it was always God. You didn't just go through a hard season, you were thrust into a spiritual battlefield. And many didn't see it because it wasn't a physical war. No blood, no bruises on your skin, but in the spirit, you were wounded, you were targeted, you were hunted. The attacks came like waves, one after the other. Emotional betrayals, financial hits, isolation, confusion, rejection from those closest to you. All of it was strategic, because when the enemy senses a rising giant, he launches a war before the crown falls. But you didn't crumble. You bled spiritually. You cried in silence. But you didn't fold. You kept walking, even when the ground beneath you felt unstable. You kept loving, even when your heart was shattered. You kept praying, even when heaven seemed silent. Chosen one, that's not weakness, that's warrior-level endurance. That's the strength of someone who is spiritually fortified. God saw it. Every single moment. He watched when you felt like you were screaming inside but had to wear a smile. He observed how you still showed up for others when no one showed up for you. When people walked away, God stood closer. When people turned their backs, God opened new doors. Even when you couldn't hear him, he was orchestrating the turnaround. And now the tables are turning, not slowly, not secretly, but visibly. You're stepping into a season where those who threw dirt on your name will watch God raise you from that very soil. The ones who thought your silence meant defeat are about to witness your resurrection. You were never losing, you were loading. The delay wasn't denial, it was divine alignment. God wasn't punishing you, he was preparing the stage. You are not just the protagonist in your story. You're the testimony others will read. To remember that survival is possible, that redemption is real, and that God always has the final word. Remember those moments when you felt like quitting, when life hit so hard that you questioned your worth, your path, even your faith. You thought those nights would never end. You believed the whispers, "You're not enough. You're forgotten. It's too late." But God heard those whispers too, and he's about to shut them down in the loudest way possible. Not by shouting, but by showing. He's about to show that your scars weren't signs of shame, they were symbols of strength. He's about to show that every no was protection, every closed door was redirection, every loss was sacred. Because your story was never just about pain, it was about purpose, about resurrection, about becoming a beacon for those who are still in the dark. And right now, as you listen, something deep within you is rising again. Your spirit recognizes this shift. You can feel it in your chest, can't you? That burning, that tug, that divine pull. It's confirmation. You are entering the moment heaven has been preparing you for. The warfare wasn't in vain. The battles weren't for nothing. You didn't cry just to break. You cried to birth something greater. This world is filled with people who fear light. And your light, chosen one, exposes what others try to hide. That's why you became a target. Your purity irritated their demons. Your truth threatened their illusions. Your calling made them insecure. They tried to assassinate your character because they couldn't access your calling. But God, he allowed it. Because he knew what they meant for evil would become the platform for your elevation. You see, it's not just about you anymore. Your story is going to heal others. Your testimony is going to awaken the silent ones. Those who are suffering in the shadows will find hope through what you've overcome. That's why God preserved you. That's why you didn't die in that season. That's why even though you lost some things and maybe even some people, you didn't lose yourself. You didn't lose your fire. And now that fire is returning, stronger, fiercer, purer. This fire is no longer from pain, it's from purpose. And the world better get ready, because the chosen one they tried to bury is rising. The one they mocked is being anointed. The one they underestimated is being undeniably favored. Your enemies, they feel it, they sense it. That dread they carry, that unease when your name comes up, it's not paranoia, it's spiritual awareness. Their spirits know what their pride won't let them admit. You are divinely protected, and they can't stop what's coming. God is not just about to bless you, He's about to vindicate you. Your name is about to be cleared, your reputation restored. What they said about you will no longer matter, because what God is doing through you will speak louder than any gossip, any lie, any judgment. And this is where it gets powerful. God is about to bless you in front of them, not out of revenge, but out of a revelation. So they can see what they tried to destroy didn't just survive, it thrived. You will become proof of what happens when a person stays faithful through the fire. So keep standing, chosen one. Keep believing, keep praying, even when it hurts, because your story is about to shift from sorrow to celebration, from crying to conquering, from pain to power. You are not forgotten, you are marked. And heaven is aligning everything to put your glory on display, not because you demanded it, but because you endured it. God is turning your mourning into dancing, your weeping into worship. And soon, the same voice that once cried out in desperation will become the voice that proclaims, "Look what the Lord has done." You are about to walk into rooms where your name was once spoken in whispers, but now it will be spoken in honor. You are not who you were when you were crying in the dark. You are becoming the version of yourself that was always hidden beneath the ashes. The transformation is real, the shift is irreversible, and the rise, oh, it's going to be glorious. Keep your head lifted. Your breakthrough is not coming, it's here. There comes a moment, chosen one, when God decides the pain has served its purpose. When heaven speaks and the silence of your suffering breaks open into sound, into praise, into power, into proof. That moment is near, not next year, not someday. Now, the delay is over. The heavens are about to issue a divine verdict, and your vindication will be public. You've been hidden, overlooked, underestimated for far too long, but not because God forgot you. It was because the unveiling had to happen on time. It had to be undeniable. And what God is about to do in your life cannot be mistaken for human effort. No, this is going to be a God-only miracle, a testimony so loud, so unmistakably divine, that not even your enemies will be able to deny His hand. You've seen people rise through manipulation. You've watched others receive what looked like blessings, even though their actions were rooted in deception. And you questioned, maybe not out loud, but deep in your heart, God, did you forget me? Did you see what they did? Did my suffering go unnoticed? But God was silent, not because He didn't care. He was silent because justice was being prepared. True justice doesn't come when we demand it. It comes when He decides it's time, and now the time has come. He's about to make it right, chosen one. The losses you endured, they're being restored. The lies they spread, they're unraveling. The closed doors, they're opening in places you never expected. Because God is not just your comforter, He's your defender, and He never forgets. Not one moment, not one sigh, not one betrayal escapes the eyes of the Most High. So understand this, the pain wasn't pointless. It was permitted to position you. Everything was reversed behind the scenes before it will be revealed in the open. Heaven has already ruled in your favor. Now earth is about to witness the verdict. This is more than breakthrough. This is divine reversal. The stone they rolled over your name, the label they tried to bury you with, the shame they spoke over your life, all of it is about to be shattered. God is not just delivering you, He is displaying you. You will become a walking contradiction to the curse. They said you'd never rise, but here you are, rising. They said you'd never recover, but look at you, healing. They said you were finished, but heaven said, I'm just getting started. And now that the tables are turning, you have a choice. Will you carry bitterness or will you carry boldness? Because this next level isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving God right. He trusted you with the storm, and now He trusts you with the spotlight. Yes, it hurts to be misjudged. Yes, it's painful to be slandered. But here's the truth. If they had seen your value, they would have tried to contain you. But because they couldn't see it, God used their ignorance to free you. Their rejection released you into a greater realm. They cast you out, but heaven called you in. And now that you've endured the wilderness, the promised land is calling. Not just a place of material blessing, but a place of purpose fulfillment. The kind of place where the things you prayed for start appearing. The people meant for you find you. The doors meant for you open effortlessly, not because it's easy, but because it's ordained. This is the beginning of your testimony, and every part of it will be soaked in truth and redemption. You won't have to exaggerate or embellish it. The facts alone will silence every lie. Because you went through hell and didn't lose your soul. You were tested and remained true. And now God is about to reward you in such a way that even you will be shocked. But don't let your heart grow proud. Stay low, stay grounded, stay humble. Because this blessing isn't just for you, it's for the ones watching, the ones still in their dark night, the ones who think God has forgotten them. Your life is about to be the proof that He never does. When you rise, rise with grace. When you speak, speak with fire. And when you shine, don't apologize. You've paid the price in silence. You've fought private battles while carrying public burdens. Now your reward is visible victory. And it won't come from revenge. It will come from redemption. So hold your head high, chosen one. The very people who mocked your pain will marvel at your power. The very atmosphere that once suffocated you will now celebrate you. The ashes they buried you in, they've become the foundation of your testimony. This is not a fairy tale. This is prophecy unfolding. God is taking every drop of your sorrow and turning it into sacred oil, anointing oil, oil that marks you, empowers you, separates you, oil that makes the enemy tremble, oil that transforms your name from forgotten to favored. You are about to walk into rooms where people can't figure out how you got there, and the only explanation will be, God did it. So here's your call to action, beloved. Don't shrink, don't second-guess your worth. Don't let the old wounds rob you of this new season. You've wept long enough. You've waited long enough. Step into your testimony. Declare it boldly. Live it fully. And when people ask how it all turned around, don't just say, I made it. Say, God turned my tears into testimony. Because that's the truth. That's the core of it all. Not luck, not connections, not coincidence, but divine intervention. You were carried by grace, and now you're crowned by glory. Let this moment mark you. Let it shift the atmosphere around you. Let it awaken something deep in your soul. Because it's happening, chosen one. The prophecy is being fulfilled before your very eyes. You've asked yourself time and again, why did they come for me like that? Why did I go through such betrayal, such rejection, such intense spiritual warfare? And it's not just because you're different, it's because you are divinely chosen. You are a carrier of something sacred, something powerful, something that terrifies the realm of darkness. People didn't attack you because they truly knew you. They attacked you because they could sense something on you. A glow, a calling, a divine essence that couldn't be hidden, no matter how much you tried to shrink or blend in. And so the enemy, working through people unaware of their own spiritual assignments, launched a war against your identity. Not your talent, not your appearance, your identity. You see, the attacks weren't random, they were precise. They targeted your self-worth, your relationships, your mind, your peace, because if the enemy could confuse you about who you are, he could distract you from what you were called to do. But let's take it deeper. Because what you faced wasn't just external, it was internal. The real war was happening inside your spirit. Every time someone left, something within you was being confronted. Every betrayal, every closed door was pushing you into a deeper awareness of your soul's mission. It hurt, yes, but it also revealed your true self. The self that was hidden under people-pleasing. The self that had been muted by past trauma. The self that God had been trying to resurrect. Chosen one, do you understand how rare you are? How divine your presence is? That's why people tried to label you, box you in, silence your voice. Because once your spirit awakened, you became unstoppable. They saw your growth and tried to dim it with gossip. They felt your light and tried to cloud it with doubt. But the paradox is this: the more they tried to bury you, the deeper your roots went into God. They thought the attack would end you, but it only evolved you. So let's look at the law of divine paradoxes, the sacred contradictions that govern your journey. Because in the kingdom of God, what looks like loss is often the seed of elevation. The rejected stone becomes the cornerstone. The least likely becomes the most anointed. The crushed becomes the crowned. That's why you couldn't avoid the pain. That's why you had to lose certain people, places, and even pieces of yourself. Because who you were before the pain wasn't strong enough to carry the next dimension of your purpose. You had to be refined, purged, stripped of attachments, illusions, and idols. Not because God was cruel, but because He was clearing space in your heart, in your path, in your identity. And let's talk about them, those who attacked you. You must understand this. Most people project what they haven't healed. They lash out because they're triggered by your wholeness. They gossip because your quiet strength unsettles their insecurities. They betray because your loyalty reminds them of their own spiritual poverty. You didn't deserve what happened to you, but you grew through it. And now, instead of asking, "Why did they do this to me?" you're asking, "What did God build in me through it?" That's elevation. That's divine maturity. You've stepped into the revelation that your worth was never tied to their validation, that your purpose existed long before their opinion, and once you detached from their approval, you became dangerous to the darkness, to stagnation, to every generational pattern that tried to keep you stuck. God has allowed you to see the truth, the motives of others, the masks they wore, the fake love wrapped in smiles, not to make you bitter, but to make you wiser, to prepare you for where you're headed, because where you're going, you cannot afford to be naive. You cannot afford to carry everyone. Some people were only meant to be part of your training, not your team. You're no longer operating from trauma. You're moving from clarity. You're not surviving anymore. You're strategizing. And that scares people who can only thrive when you are confused. This is the psychology of spiritual warfare. When people can no longer manipulate your mind, they will attack your identity. When they can't control your next move, they'll try to contaminate your name. But here's the truth. Your name is being rewritten in heaven. Your identity is not what they called you. Your identity is what God ordained you to be. Chosen, set apart, purified by fire. So rise, not just as a healed individual, but as a spiritually awakened one. The fog has lifted. You're seeing clearly now. You've shed the illusions. You've released the need to be understood by those who are spiritually blind. You've accepted the truth. You are not for everyone. And that's okay, because the ones who are meant to walk with you will recognize the light in you, not be threatened by it. Now your mission is being revealed. Every scar on your soul has become a road sign pointing to your purpose. Every rejection rerouted you to divine alignment. And every attack has sharpened your discernment, deepened your wisdom, and matured your spirit. That's why the warfare was so brutal. That's why the enemy hit you in childhood, in relationships, in your confidence. Because if he could stop you from realizing who you are, he could block the mission assigned to your name. But he failed. And now your soul is awakening to the truth of why you're still here. You were chosen to shift atmospheres. You were chosen to break chains. You were chosen to heal bloodlines. You were chosen to carry divine fire into dry places. You were chosen to lead others out of their pain. This is your moment of revelation, not just about what happened to you, but about what's about to happen through you. You didn't go through all that pain to stay the same. You were forged in it, anointed in it. You came out on the other side, not broken, but reborn. So now, chosen one, look around with new eyes. You are not in the valley anymore. You are not under attack anymore. You are ascending, and everything is aligning, not to crush you, but to crown you. You've carried pain in silence for far too long. You've walked through deserts of rejection, climbed mountains of loneliness, and endured storms that no one else even knew you were facing. But let me say this clearly and without hesitation, it was never for nothing. Every tear you cried, every night you questioned your worth, every moment you thought you couldn't take one more step, heaven recorded it. And now the heavens are responding. This isn't just your recovery season, it's your revelation season. God is not just healing what was broken, He's revealing what's been buried inside of you all along. That fire, that strength, that anointing, it's always been there, but now it's rising. Now it's undeniable. You are not just a survivor of trials. You are the testimony of triumph. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the vessel God has chosen to demonstrate His power through. Everything that was sent to break you has now become the foundation for your rise. And the ones who thought your story ended in sorrow are about to witness a new chapter, written in glory, filled with purpose, and sealed by grace. Do you feel that shift? That quiet thunder in your spirit? It's the echo of heaven saying, it's time. Time for restoration, time for honor, time for the manifestation of every silent prayer, every whispered hope, every sacred desire you buried while you were just trying to survive. You've endured the wilderness with grace. You've kept your heart soft in a world that tried to harden you. You stayed loyal to God when you could have given up. You passed the test. And now God is calling you forward into places your pain prepared you for. So let this be your moment of release. Let go of what was. Release the bitterness. Lay down the anger. You no longer need to carry the weight of who hurt you or why they did it. They were part of your training, not your destiny. God used it all, not to punish you, but to position you. You've been chosen, not just for survival, but for significance. You've been called not just to heal, but to lead. And the time has come for your light to shine, brighter, bolder, and more unapologetically than ever before. From this point forward, walk like you know you're chosen. Speak like heaven backs your voice. Move like angels go before you, because they do. You are not alone. You never were. And now you are being escorted into a new realm of favor, breakthrough, and clarity. What's ahead of you is not a replay of the past. It's a divine unfolding, and it will not look like the pain you've come out of. In fact, it will reverse it. For every tear, there will be joy. For every loss, there will be gain. For every humiliation, there will be honor. And for every season of silence, there will be a season of supernatural testimony. This is your reward for not giving up, for staying faithful, for trusting God even when you didn't understand. Now heaven is declaring, well done. Now watch me work. And as you rise, chosen one, know this: you are rising with purpose. You are rising with vision. You are rising with divine permission. And nothing can stop what God has already set in motion. No man, no demon, no delay can cancel what's been sealed over your life. So walk into this next chapter with holy boldness. Let the world witness the transformation. Let your life be a living altar, burning with the evidence that God restores, that God redeems, that God turns tears into testimonies. Your story is just beginning, and oh, what a story it will be. Let your life preach louder than your words. Let your peace be your proof. Let your joy be your justice. And when the world asks, how did you survive? You'll smile and say, God didn't just save me, He crowned me. So go now, beloved. Go with your head high, your spirit full, and your faith anchored. You are chosen, you are anointed, you are rising, and the tears that once fell in secret are about to water a harvest the world will not be able to ignore. Let the oil flow, let the light shine, let the testimony begin. Until next time, walk in truth, stay in grace, and remember, your tears have not been wasted. God is turning them into glory. Amen.